Maybe I'm just nostalgic, or maybe it's truly magical. Oh, when I see that castle, the feeling is truly magical. Maybe I'm just nostalgic. Maybe it's truly magic. Maybe I'm just nostalgic. Maybe it's truly magic.
I'm Brooke.
And I'm Andrew. This week we're joined by Brad Pitt, also known as Kevin Perjurer, who is the creator of the Defunct Land podcast and YouTube channel. Kevin has a new book on the way called Defunct Land, A Guide to the Magic Kingdom, which was recently successfully crowdfunded, and he reached his goal within 24 hours. Kevin was nice enough to join the podcast this week to talk about the book, his channel, and to discuss his top 5 favorite closed or defunct Magic Kingdom park rides and attractions. Let's get to it.
Kevin, thank you for joining us on this episode of DisNeatos. First of all, congratulations on the book, practically doubling, actually is doubled now its original request on Indiegogo. How quickly did that thing, I feel like that thing it hit its goal within like the first day, right?
Yeah, within 24 hours, we got about $11,000, which was awesome. So so I'm rich, right?
Yeah, you are.
That's what I keep thinking, but then I look up how much it's going to cost to print it, and then I'm like, oh wait, I broke even, so that's all that matters, right?
Are you doing an ebook for this as well?
Yes, yeah, that's an option on the Indiegogo, so that doesn't cost anything to print because it's digital, of course. But the printing of the hardbacks, because I'm kind of a stickler for making sure that they're of quality. I don't want two cardboard pieces. And 2 cardboard pieces with paper in between. It's we're going to print 2,000. I'm really excited about it. And I think I've sold around 1,000. So we're going to have 1,000 for storage, which is what the Indiegogo was for, is I really wanted to get some in storage. So this holiday season, when people are trying to buy gifts and things, that's probably when I'll be able to get a lot of those sold. That's why I had this whole planned out is what I'm going with, even though this was really, I started the book in November at Thanksgiving. I was at my family's house, and I wasn't supposed to be working, and so I was just sitting there. I was like, what can I do? And then I just grabbed a piece of paper and started writing out some ideas for books to do. And so since then I've been writing and editing and designing and fact checking, which is the worst process, and all these other things. So it's been a whirlwind.
Did you do it all yourself?
Oh no. Like fact checking? No way. I'm apparently I have a great fact checker. If you go to Walt Dated World is a website. Walt Dated World, Allison from that website is fantastic and very necessary for me because when I research, I mainly do, I'll go on sites like Walt Dated World, All Ears, Theme Park Tourist especially has a lot of good stuff. Basically, I pull from message boards and all these things to try to piece these together because there's no, history book that has all of these things in them. The closest thing is Dave Smith's, who's the Disney historian, his A to Z book. And that has all the dates open usually, but that is just a short blurb. So when telling these short stories in this book, it was like I had to pretty much crowdsource the story of the ride and watch ride throughs and what have you. But Allison, my fact checker, like I said, she's really great in making sure that I actually get the correct dates, which it's just something you don't think about. Whenever, of course, I'll look up the date when I'm writing. I'll be like, boom, there you go. And I just the first date I see. And then she'll be like, actually, that was the soft opening date. The real opening date is this. And I'm like, dang it, Allison, you've done it again. So that's basically been the whole thing. And then I make a joke about this in the book, but she forced me to put an exclamation point at the end of Stitch's Great Escape every time I say Stitch's Great Escape, because that's how the name is stylized. So I had to put Stitch's Great Escape, and so I messaged her. I was like, do I have to do this? She's like, you hired me to fact check you, and that's you need to put an exclamation point. I was like, fine, but I'm putting in the book that you were the one that made me do this. And she said okay. So that's other than that, and the fact that you have to lowercase It's a Small World All those things combined. Just that's the process I'm in right now. If you can't tell based on how much I'm talking about it, is fact checking. That's also over. So right now, the last thing we're doing is interior design, and that's done by Philip from Reedsy. I used Reedsy to get my freelancers, and Meredith Tennant and Philip Gessert. Meredith's my editor, and she edited and proofread and copy edited. And then Philip is doing the interior design right now. And then I have two artists, Andrew Benny and Ingram Jenkins. If you watch Defunctland on YouTube, Defunct TV, we just had an episode come out. It's co-created and edited by Heath Jenkins, who is Ingram's sibling. So that's kind of cool. We got a family going, and their father is Jim Jenkins, who made Doug and PB&J Otter and JoJo Circus and all those shows. So yeah, I'm running a small Jenkins empire. Ingram did my cover art and chapter art, and then my illustrations and interior illustrations were done by Andrew. And so it's Andrew, Ingram, Meredith, editor, designer, Philip, and fact checker Allison, and Kevin, who's dying. But yeah, so that's the production side of the book. Didn't you want a history? You had me on to give you like a lesson on how to make a book, right?
Yes,
of
exactly.
the entire process.
You said that it's coming out in December, or it should be ready by December.
Oh no, it's I should have the first copy by August 1st. And then, because if you rush, my printing is in China, and so it has to either be shipped by plane or be shipped by ship, and the ship takes longer than plane, from what I understand. And so it's about the normal. It's cheaper to ship by ship, and so that's why. So if you rush ordered it, you should be able to get it by the end of August. And then this is all through Indiegogo, by the way. If you shipped it, normal shipping, it should be here by October. So by November, I'm hoping it will be on Amazon for anyone to purchase with like Prime, 2-day shipping, all that stuff.
All right, pretty sweet. So what drew you to Disney in general? Because I know you cover that. I mean, you cover that and Universal a lot on the podcast or on the YouTube channel. But like, what was the big appeal of Disney? If
you're doing anything with theme parks and you're not talking about Disney, you're ignoring the entire. Pretty much you're ignoring everything, because in the beginning, before Disney, before 1955, in the Dark Ages, when we had only boardwalks that might have had a coaster on them, you had small theme parks, if you wanted to call them that. What it basically meant is it was a planned area. That was basically the only thing that like counted as a theme park. And then besides that, you had small carnivals, small amusement parks by lakes, picnic areas that just happened to have a carousel, picnic areas that had a small wooden switchback coaster or something like that. And then in 1955, Disney changed everything because he went to all those places, of course, and said, these are gross. Let's not do this. Let's do something better. And Disneyland was created. And then if you look at what Disneyland did for that industry, I mean, it's never been, there's very few times that you can see entire industry be created by one move. Maybe like film it's a lot of small things, a lot of people experimenting with photo cameras and video cameras and animation. But I mean, as far as theme parks go, not amusement parks or coasters, but just theme parks, like that one move is what started this giant industry. I just did an episode on Six Flags Astroworld, and in the beginning I talked about Six Flags and how that was it's like the most Texas name ever. What is it? Angus G. Wynn Jr., I think is his name. It's the most Texas name ever, right? Angus G. Wynn Jr. He went to Disneyland and he wanted to build a Disneyland in Texas, and that's what created Six Flags Over Texas and pretty much all the Six Flags parks. So many, places, like I did one on Alton Towers, that was a Disneyland. Someone traveled to Disneyland, saw it. Nara Dreamland was literally just, they were doing Disneyland. So many of these parks are just, someone went to Disneyland, Astroworld itself before it was Six Flags. Just someone went to Disneyland and said, oh, we should build a Disneyland where I am, so people don't have to go out to California. And of course, no one was able to do it to the same degree as Disney did, for a variety of reasons. One, because no one had the same amount of capital in intellectual properties already that Disney did. So, I mean, a lot of them were real estate developers, and when you're a real estate developer, you might have the funds, but you don't have the draw, and or you don't have the materials necessary for theming. And so it was Disney is the reason it draws me from a historical perspective is, and I know there's a lot of people out there that despise Disney and that don't like Disney theme parks. And I get it. I'm not saying that you have to love Disney. I'm saying that every time I go to Disney, I love it. There's a ton of issues. And you might like Cedar Fair parks better. You might like Six Flags parks better, but it's just like, it would be ignorant to ignore the fact that it started with Disney. So I guess that's my answer. How'd I do? That was up 5 minutes. Sorry. I'll shorten the answers. I'll just give yes or no's from now on. I tend to ramble.
Kevin, if you want to give us the rundown on your top favorite closed Disney rides from the Magic Kingdom.
Well, that is a very specific list for me. I'm like Watch Mojo over here. The top 5, right? Because I asked before we started whether you wanted the weird ones, you wanted the best ones. So I'm just going to give you the classic ones, the ones that the major ones. I'm not going to bore you with the penny arcades and the Main Street cinemas and all these very small ones, which I do talk about in the book. But I'll give you the biggest ones. But first, you said you've never been to a Disney park, right?
That's right. I've never been to any Disney park of any kind. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Oh, okay. And is there a reason?
Mom and Dad. They never took me or my siblings. I've never been. Yeah, that's
and
the story there.
what theme parks have you been to?
So I've been to Six Flags, King's Dominion, Hershey Park, Busch Gardens. I think that might be it.
Still a pretty good list.
Nothing crazy.
Those are good parks. Those are Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, I'm assuming, based on those locations?
Yes. I've also been to Cedar Point.
Okay, Cedar Point. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so those are all fantastic parks. You've never ventured into Worlds of Fun, is what I'm guessing, which was my home park growing up because I was from the Kansas City area. It's a very bad park. Don't go there.
Oh, okay.
I have faith in it, but I have faith that they can improve it, but they have not, anyways. But yeah, so my top 5 Disney ones. So yeah, the first one that I'm going to talk about is the Mickey Mouse Revue. So this would be my number 5 if I was going from like least classic to most classic. That's not even a good way to describe this list. Whatever. Mickey Mouse Revue. The Mickey Mouse Revue was an animatronic stage show. You don't get these at your Six Flags. It's just I'm trying to think of a way to describe it. Have you seen Hall of Presidents? Like a video of it? Okay. Have you seen a stage show?
Yes.
Okay, imagine that, but with robots.
Yeah, it's like Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, it's like Chuck E. Cheese. That's what I was thinking.
Okay, yeah, I guess. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've been to a Chuck E. Cheese, so that simile isn't just rolling off the tongue anymore. It's like, when you go to Chuck E. Cheese like you do all the time.
The pizza is actually pretty good.
You gotta take a K with you, though. They don't let you know.
There's one right up the street from here. Just saying. If you want to visit us, Kevin.
I was this is an anecdote, but I was on some shoot, like a documentary thing on the side that I was helping out with, and I was walking to go get cash from an ATM, and I had to walk like to this bar on the other side of the shopping district at like 10 p.m. And I walked by this Chuck E. Cheese, which wasn't open at 10 p.m., which I was surprised by. I thought the kids stayed up a little later than that nowadays. But it was closed, but there was one light, and it was shining on behind the characters that were standing on the stage with the curtain open. And it was the most sinister, scary thing I've ever seen in real life.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it was. The Mickey Mouse Revue is like that, but way more elaborate. And I don't even remember how many characters. So I'm just going to say 70 to 90, probably 75, 85-ish characters on stage. Now, most of these were, I should say most, a lot of them were animated figures, and there's debate over what's an audio animatronic and what's an animated figure. Animated figure essentially is something that moves very normally, but a lot of these were animatronics, and they were pretty great. And so you would have Mickey come up and he would conduct the orchestra, and there was all these different, I probably should pull up a picture of it so I can better describe it to you. Because I wrote this in text form, and now I'm realizing that explaining it out loud sounds a lot more nonsensical than reading it in a book. I have not done an episode on this one. I've only done an episode on one of these. Yeah, so if you look up Mickey Mouse Revue, you'll see this dark kind of limbo room with all of your favorite Disney characters just sitting and playing instruments. And it was a really elaborate, very cool. It was in Fantasyland. It was an opening day attraction, I believe. And it was just a very a classic kind of show, and then they would close the curtain and they would do this projection, and you could see like Cinderella dancing with Prince Charming or whatever Cinderella's guy is. Is that Prince Charming? Is his name Prince Charming?
Yes, it is.
Is it? Okay, see.
His name is Prince Charming. Well, in the live action one, his name is Kit.
And yeah, so they would do interesting transitions, and then up would pop on one side of the stage another group of characters, and they'd do a little thing. And then another part of the stage and another group of characters, and then they all came together for the finale. And some characters were duplicated so they could pop up on one side of the stage, then go down and then come up on the other. It was a very elaborate show. It actually came from an idea from Walt Disney himself, who kind of said, I want to do a stage show with all of these characters, all of our characters, and that the technology just wasn't there at the time until, you know, he died in 1966, and then 5 years later, in 1971, they had developed the technology. So yeah, the Mickey Mouse Revue. Also, this is the first appearance in the parks in physical form, I believe, like a attraction form, of Brer Rabbit, Brer Bear, and Brer Fox from the 1944-45 movie Song of the South.
Why was that one closed?
It was closed before 1983. They shipped it off to Japan to open Tokyo Disneyland. They took it there. It was replaced by Mickey's PhilharMagic a lot later. I think it was immediately replaced by Magic Journeys, and then Magic Journeys was replaced by Legend of the Lion King. And then there was probably another one that I'm forgetting. Maybe that's it. And then after the Legend of the Lion, let's look it up. Whenever a attraction is replaced like 4 times, it's very difficult for me to keep track of it. Okay, so I was right. It was Magic Journeys. So it closed in 1980, and then Magic Journeys took over, and then Legend of the Lion King in 1994. The same summer that the Lion King came out, they'd already created this stage show for it. And then Mickey's PhilharMagic came in 2003, which is just a 3D version of kind of what the Mickey's Musical Revue is that it looks like the stage before the Mickey Mouse Revue would start, and then Donald comes out and grabs Mickey's sorcerer's hat, and then, you know, trouble ensues, and then, you know, Mickey grabs the hat, and then makes all the instruments play one last time. So it's like kind of a vague reference to the previous attraction that was there. Yeah. Anything else on I mean, I can talk about the Mickey Mouse Revue. It's a very interesting show. All the camcorder footage of it is it's very dark, and so and I don't know what it would be like in 1971 per se, but if it was that dark when it first opened, it would have been a terrifying attraction just to see Mickey Mouse with like a dim light on, kind of like I was talking about earlier with the Chuck E. Cheese stuff. So. Yeah. So doesn't that make you feel missed out on Disney that you didn't get to experience the Mickey Mouse Revue?
Yeah,
How am I doing?
I really feel like I've been cheated, honestly.
Yeah, I know. Do you have any questions about the Mickey Mouse Revue?
No, I mean, I was just looking at some pictures.
Any reactions to that?
No, I mean, the pictures, they kind of look exactly what I was imagining in my head. So I want to watch the old camcorder footage now to really scare myself.
Oh, yeah. They really don't move that. They're not fluid, which is, it depends on your taste. I think it's more creepy when they're not moving.
Oh,
fluidly.
yeah. That sort of like static movement is not okay.
No, yeah. It's more like a rotation. Like, I think the Huey, Dewey, and Louie, or maybe I think that's the girl. I don't know. They come up and they just kind of turn, and that's how you play the trumpet, is you just turn your body, from what I understand.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
And then Dumbo has his nose on the tuba, which is...
That's also how you play the tuba.
That actually happens in the new live-action Tim Burton Dumbo movie. He doesn't learn how to fly in that version. He just learns how to play the tuba with his nose.
All right, what's next on the list?
Penny Arcade. I'm just kidding. No, Mr. I keep referencing the Penny Arcade. I probably should explain the joke. It was just like the small arcade that like lasted for a while. It was nothing. Number 4 is Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Matt loves that one.
I did a little fist pump. I remember that one.
Favorite.
Well, it still exists in Disneyland, but the Disney World version was special, as it's been explained to me many times by angry commenters suggesting me doing it. It's different and defunct because it had 2 different tracks. And the differences in the stories, I mean, they're like they met up in the middle at one point, but besides that, you were doing two pretty much different rides, both of which of arguable quality. Like the ride itself was fun, but watching ride throughs leave a lot to be desired because it's just, cardboard cutouts, it looks like, but no, it was nice that it had two different tracks. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride it was an opening day attraction. It was in Fantasyland, just like Mickey Mouse Revue. It was eventually replaced by Winnie the Pooh. And the figure, I think it's the same figure, or I know actually it's a replica, I believe, is now in the Haunted Mansion. When you're walking out of the Haunted Mansion at the Magic Kingdom, if you turn to the left, you can see the Pet Cemetery, and in top of the Pet Cemetery is a tribute to Mr. Toad, and it's him. There's also two tributes in the Winnie the Pooh ride, but those are not very easy to, I mean, I could have described them.
Well, you have to now.
Yeah.
Do you want me to? Sure. These are book spoilers, not like but you can look these up. This is basically what I do in the book is I explain what the ride is, I explain what it did, what it lasted, and then I explain how when you're walking through the park you can see what is still there. There's a picture of Mr. Toad handing the deed to his house to Mr. Owl from Winnie the Pooh. And then there's another picture in that same room of, might be Piglet or Pooh, and then Mole, like doing something together. No, I mean, nothing like weird or illegal, just like they're just standing there.
Don't lie.
I'm trying to remember, didn't the Mr. Toad's Wild Ride end with you getting in a car crash and going to hell?
What?
Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention that.
What? Back up. Explain that.
Oh, I should have done Snow White's Adventures now that I think about it. I might erase one of these to talk about Snow White's Adventures. Yeah, there were two rides in Fantasyland that basically killed you during the ride. And that was one of them. This is Fantasyland, by the way. And so, because death
really
is a mere
dead?
fantasy, the sweet embrace.
I've always fantasized about dying on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
When you die, you go to Fantasyland.
All right.
It looks the same. It's just hot concrete in Orlando on a summer day.
That sounds awesome.
That is the one part of the Magic Kingdom that still exists, in my opinion, that really you just feel that concrete. Like it's bad. I don't know. Maybe it's just because like when you get to Frontierland, it's just like, oh, it's supposed to be like this. And then you have some trees once you get to Adventureland. But man, there are no trees in that main stretch of Fantasyland before you get to Frontierland. And then you go to the Tomorrowland and there's plenty of shade and cover. Oh, yeah. I can imagine it right now. Yeah. So you die at the end of the ride.
Great.
And you go to hell.
I
And
can't believe
that's
that
how it
went
ends. I
defunct.
forget how you die. Do you get in a car accident? Or the two tracks different? The ride does not
You
tell a
get
very
hit by
clear
a
story.
train, I think.
Oh my god.
Oh, no, yes, you do get hit by a train. I forgot, yes, because you see the light coming. How could I forget? This is a very classic theme park trick, by the way. It is you're going one way, and there's something coming towards you, and then you veer off. But in this version, you technically get hit as far as the story is concerned. So you get hit by a train, and yes, you're right. How did I forget about that?
And then what? You're hit by a train and then it's over?
No, then you go to hell. There's a scene in hell that was like super hot. I think they put heaters in there at one point. Maybe that was the
Why
Disneyland
would they
version.
do that?
This is the only time I wish that we had a video podcast because of how far both of their jaws are. They think we're making this up, Kevin.
Oh, really? No, look up Mr. Toad's Wild Ride hell scene. It's
I'm scared.
actually, this is horrifying. I don't remember. This must be Disneyland. I found some old pictures because I remember this one was not nearly as sinister, but there is some sinister stuff going on. Yeah, these are the kind of stuff. Oh my gosh, these are the kind of things that people love. Like those are the.
Oh my god, there's little
Did
devils.
you know that Disney World used to have a weird old ride, or Walt Disney World, I should say. There you go. Any questions?
I have a lot of questions, but I don't
What
know if
the
you can
fuck?
answer them. Like, why?
It was just it was the 70s. It was the 70s, baby. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride was an opening day attraction at Disneyland as well.
Oh my god.
I mean, like,
disturbed.
It's
And yet
yeah.
also
I don't know what to
intrigued.
tell you. It's I didn't make it. And it was just, I guess it was the obvious ending that everyone was waiting for. Is that you could,
and
like, we couldn't not write it. We couldn't not put it in there. Everyone knew it was coming.
Yeah. What's interesting is you said this one made you want to talk about Snow White's adventures. So now I really want to know what happens there. But I'll let you continue on with your list. But we are going to talk about Snow White at some point.
I'll take out one of these, and well, I mean, I have nothing to do. We can just talk about all of them. I don't do anything.
Me either.
The episodes make themselves. So essentially, let's do number 3. If we're done with Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, again, it's just
we already
it's a lot
died,
it's a cardboard. It's cardboard cutouts that really pictures and video don't do it justice. It's a fun ride, but
yeah, sounds so much fun.
Yeah. Can you believe your parents didn't let you get hit by a train when you were
I
little?
know. Mom and Dad are really like...
Text them right now.
I can't wait to see them this weekend to let them have a piece of my mind.
What's next? I'm doing this. Number 3. Let's just do Snow White's Adventures.
All right.
Another opening day Disneyland attraction that still exists. The Magic Kingdom had one that opened as an opening day attraction in Magic Kingdom as well. This version is different than the Disneyland version that everyone knows today. This version was much more sinister. So Disney did this thing where, I think they did it with Peter Pan's Flight as well, where they thought, well, because they're storytellers, and they're like, well, let's tell the story as if you are Snow White or you are Peter Pan. So you're not going to see Peter Pan in the ride, or you're not going to see Snow White in the ride, because you are them. You assume their role, and you go throughout their movie as them. Believe it or not, this was lost on kids, and they were confused as to why when they went into Snow White's Adventures, there was no Snow White, but there was like 6 witch figures. And so it was called originally Snow White's Adventures, and it was terrifying. So let me see if I can pull up some pictures so I can better give you.
So
it's still in the Disneyland version, and it was still in so they refurbished it, right? So it was not always like this. They refurbished the ride. When did they refurbish it? I think it says 1983 here, but I think if I remember correctly, Allison corrected me on this one. So Snow White's Adventures, in its original form, ran for about 12 years. And in this one, the ride had 7 witch models. And the first one's still in Disneyland, like I was saying. It's very creepy. So you see the evil queen, right, talking to the mirror. And it's set up in a way that the back looks like the evil queen, but then the figure switches around really quickly, and it's actually the witch with her hands up. And it happens really fast, and it's horrifying. I watched just a video of the old one, and I was like, that is crazy. So then, by the way, this ride has no music, and it's only like screams and howls and wind. So you're going through this dark room. You can see skeletons in you see dead things everywhere. Skeletons. The only time you see the dwarves, they are scary. They're like scared and they're running away. You see the witch multiple times, and most of the time it's when the car will whip towards her, so it's like a jump scare, and it just kind of takes you through you're running away, you're running through the forest. It's very hard to tell. It's very dark. Essentially, you see the witch 7 times, and I believe the last time you see the witch, she is perched above the guests, and she's pushing a boulder onto you.
Oh my
God! And then there's I think there's flashing light, and then you exit the ride, so you died.
So she kills you.
And she said something really creepy. I believe it was she said, again, it's been a while since I've researched this ride in particular. I think she says, are you enjoying the ride? Like, she breaks the fourth wall and screams that at you, and then you see her on top of the...
I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. That's terrifying.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'm just nonchalant about this. I know these things. I wish I could be there with you reacting to it for the first time, and I'm like, I don't know what I want. That's what happened. That's not nearly as crazy as this episode I'm researching right now.
Great.
It's a park in Germany where When is
the
this episode
German.
coming out?
Probably in like late July.
Oh, okay. Well, this episode will be out by then. So this episode I've already done. There you go for your continuity. Is it's called Spree Park in Germany. Everyone go check it out because it's already been released. And it's about a guy who he had been convicted of like accidental murder or whatever it's called in Germany. And because like 6 people died on one of his carousels when he was operating it, and then he's like, I want my own theme park after getting acquitted. And so he built this. He like after the in Germany. Sorry, I'm dying. I can't even think about this. I can't even think of what I'm trying to say. In Berlin. So once the wall came down and Germany was reunified, he built his park. He transformed this park into a theme park, and he built coasters and carousels. Anyway, so the long story short, in 2002, the park went under. He ran away to Peru to avoid the over billion euros he had in debt. Got into some trouble with the drug cartel there. Decided to smuggle like a lot of cocaine, from what I've been told.
What's a lot?
How much cocaine are we talking?
Like I was like, how much is it? And they said a lot. And so
Personal supply.
so I guess there was a lot of cocaine, and he hid it in a Ferris wheel or a carousel.
That's a lot of cocaine.
And it was called the Flying Carpet. And so he hid a bunch of cocaine in there, and oopsie-daisy, he got caught in customs and thrown in a Peruvian prison for a couple of years. He got released earlier, but his son is still in there, and this happened in 2003. And apparently, like Peruvian prison, like I know our prison system's really messed up in the United States, but apparently Peruvian prison, you have to pay to get a cell, and if not, you're just in a pit with the guards just wailing on other prisoners. So,
Solid.
yeah, I mean, that really puts Snow White's adventures in perspective, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to give a quick thing on 20,000 Leagues. This will be an honorable mention. And so 20,000 Leagues was just a submarine ride that you basically got into a submarine. You would walk across onto the submarine that was already submerged halfway, and you'd walk down, and then the submarine would take you, and you'd look at the ocean life, and you'd see some mermaids, and you'd see fish, and you'd see deep sea divers, and then you would go under, and they'd put bubbles up to make it seem like you were going deeper into the ocean, and that would happen a couple times. And one time that it happens, you go into a show building or into this cave, and then you're now like in the deep sea, whatever they call it. They go there and Finding Nemo for a couple minutes, and with the light, and so you got weird fish, you see a serpent, and then you come back up and you go out. So the story is that in 1959 Submarine Voyage, which is the same thing I just described to you, but in Disneyland opened. And if you're ever look at Disneyland, there's still the Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage, and it's the same idea, only in 1959 the future was submarines and transportation, and look at all these places we can go, and now we just don't care. But back then they're like, it's the future. But by 1971 the future was no longer submarines, so they're like, well, we can't put this in Tomorrowland, we have to put it in Fantasyland, and we're going to theme it after 20,000 Leagues to give it kind of a fantasy vibe, because Disney made the movie to Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and it was really successful, so they themed it after that. And yeah, any questions? What do you want to talk about?
So what's so cool about that one?
Huh?
What's so cool about that one?
It's just like a great ride.
It's great.
Like
You
you
get
just
attacked by a squid at the end.
Do you die in it?
you do get attacked by a squid at the end, but you don't die. You escape.
So that's why it's an honorable mention, and it didn't make the list.
I mean, like we're past the rides where you die. So
Aw. All right. Well, okay. What's number 2?
number 2 is Timekeeper, which is one of my personal favorite rides of all time. It's not even a ride, attractions. So essentially, Timekeeper. So there's the Circle Vision, or as it originally appeared in Disneyland as Circarama, just dumb. But it's basically, it was originally 11, then it was 9. What they did is they created what would be an immersive experience by putting you in the center of this circular room and projecting 9 or 11 screens. And they had this rig set up on the top of a car, and they had 9 cameras, so they would film it and they put it together, and then you would watch it, and you could look all the way around. It's 360. It's panoramic. And then, what am I talking about? Man, I'm tired. No, I'm just kidding. So then they would just do really easy things such as travel logs. Like they did a tour of the West, which is America. They would just drive the car. You know what I mean? They would drive it and they'd film. And eventually came time to build Euro Disney. And they were thinking about doing a Circle Vision film, but they thought, well, what if we need to add a story to it, because it's going to be in this Discovery Land. It's Jules Verne. It's H.G. Wells. It's this fantastical land. We need to do something other than just a travelogue. So what was originally just 9 screens showing you exteriors, they turned into a story. And the story starred Timekeeper, who in the United States version was voiced by Robin Williams, and the Nine-Eye, who is the camera, and the camera would go back in time. The Timekeeper, who is an animatronic in the room with you, would like send Nine-Eye back in time, and Nine-Eye would look at, and they would do digital effects, and it was just the show. And eventually they ran into Jules Verne, and they went back with Jules Verne, and Nine-Eye would show Jules Verne the future, and then you would go to the future at the very end, and Jules Verne is there because he and H.G. Wells finished his time machine. I'm probably explaining this really bad. Did any of that make sense?
No, this is great.
No,
I'm
yeah,
following
this is
quite
awesome.
along.
Okay, this is like I hope everyone listens to this podcast, because this is the most casual Defunctland episode. Just me like half remembering things, just like, yes, like, you know, there's a thing, and then now it's defunct. I don't know what's the next. Sipping on this root beer that I just spilled.
Is it a root beer though?
Yeah.
Huh?
What kind of root beer you got?
It is a Barks, which is my favorite slogan, which is "It's good."
Solid.
Whoa,
more do you need
Barks!
to
Don't
say?
work too hard on that slogan. Barks, it's good.
It's good.
I want to be an announcer just so one day Barks can hire me, so I can just say that. Barks, it's good.
Submit a video resume.
Because they want
Barks.
to see a wax museum doll Brad Pitt just kind of half moving his lips in front of a microphone.
I really like that. That's how you describe yourself.
Well, see, I originally was a wax museum doll of Brad Pitt, and now I'm a cartoon version of a wax museum doll of Brad Pitt. I'm just escaping the lawyers further and further, because apparently my existence is an infringement upon the copyright of both Madame Tussauds and Brad Pitt. Whatever. That's
You
just
can
me.
just tell us that you're
I'm
actually
just-
Brad Pitt.
I'm just doing me. I don't know what to tell them.
We understand.
That's who
you,
I
Brad.
am.
It's okay, Brad. We accept you for who you are.
Yeah, no, my name is Kevin, but sure.
Okay, Brad.
I love that. Like, somehow that I am. That's the he is Brad Pitt. Like, no one actually believes that, but like that theory doesn't make any sense, even as a joke. I don't even get it. Any question? Well, we got to talk about the Timekeeper, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you want to talk about?
So why did that one go away? I mean, I feel like the ones where we died at the end was pretty self-explanatory, but
This one you don't die.
9/11.
oh,
No reaction. No. Not really, but kind of.
gosh.
Essentially,
It's just
what
the
happened was
dark
there were
is
shots
dying.
of the Twin Towers in the footage, and some reports say that they then changed the clock on the Timekeeper's time machine to always be 2000, which I thought was a little weird. Like, he's all like, we're like, when you walk into the attraction, you're walking into the year 2000. And then some say that they tweaked the footage to not have the Twin Towers, and some say they took out that scene entirely. But that really didn't matter. It went on seasonal operation about midway through 2001. And then and then I think it reopened in 2003 seasonally, because Stitch's Great Escape was being built. So they needed to have people go do something in Tomorrowland. And yeah, and then just kind of limped along. And I think the last time it opened was in 2005, but it was officially closed in 2006.
all right.
So 9/11. And it was replaced by Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor.
Monsters and what?
Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor.
Whenever we do get to take you to Disney, that might be one of your favorite things there. It's
Why?
awesome.
It really is. I mean, hats off to everyone. I mean, I talked to Ron Schneider on my podcast, who was one of the original the CGI puppeteers for that. And I mean, it's a fun show for everyone. Like, they do a great job, and they switch it up every now and then. I wish they would switch it up a little more, but they do a good job. It's like a comedy show played by CGI puppets.
It's pretty great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all you guys have gone. You're like, it's great. I don't know. Okay.
All right, Kevin, what's the big number one?
Yeah. What's your favorite? What's the
ride?
best one? I'm ready.
It's called Stitch's Supersonic Celebration. I'm just kidding. It's extraterrestrial. The Stitches, if you ever read the book, which I don't recommend, I'm just kidding. Yeah. It's a long read, yeah. Then the Stitches Supersonic Celebration is in the book, but this is Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter, which was the first episode of Defunct Land. Don't watch it; it's really bad. But it's essentially it was this idea that let's make something based off the Aliens franchise, and then that didn't work out because of licensing and just the fact that it's terrifying, and why would we do that? And they eventually came into this idea that we're going to have Tomorrowland. The only refurbishment that Tomorrowland at the Magic Kingdom has gone through happened in 1994. And this was the idea that aliens had come to Tomorrowland. So it was the future that never happened, is that aliens landed and they're now presenting to us. So the Timekeeper is like a presentation on time travel. And then across the street or road or pathway, I guess, was Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter, which was this attraction that was going to demonstrate teleportation. And what they were going to do is they were going to you walk in, and the first thing you see is some TV screens, and then the second room is Sir and Skippy. Sir is a robot, a simulated intelligence robot, I believe is what that acronym stands for. And there you he kind of explains to you what time travel is, and he demonstrates it on Skippy, and he makes Skippy go from one tube to the other, and like it burns him, and he's like, "Oh no, it's safe." And then you go into the main room, and it's this circular theater that it was left over from Flight to the Moon and Mission to Mars, which used to be there, which is basically you sat in a circle, everyone's facing each other in like multiple rows, and then the ground kind of rumbles and you look down at a screen and you can see you're taking off, which doesn't make sense because I don't think you can look down in spaceships. And then on the two walls there's TV screens, and it kind of shows you where you're going, and it simulates space travel. But then they retrofitted it to have this giant tube in the middle. And in this tube was, when you walked in, nothing, and then on the screens that originally showed you where you were going in the Mission to Mars were some aliens from XS Tech, which was the name of the company demonstrating, and they basically said we were gonna teleport one of you to us, and then the chairman comes down and says, no, I think his name's Clench, LC Clench, and he says, no, I'm going to go to them. I just can't wait to shake their hands, which is a dumb reason, and but he gets in the teleporter and they teleport, but something goes wrong halfway through. And the teleportation device picks up a giant alien and transports it into the showroom with you. And then the alien breaks loose, the lights cut out, and then it's probably 5 minutes, or I don't know how long it was, around there, of just the alien kind of walking around, and you could feel it breathe on your neck. And at one point, someone comes out of the top on the catwalk and walks out there and looks around and tries to find where the power is, but then you can see on the screens on his night vision goggles the alien eats him, and when the alien eats him, you get sprayed by blood, which was later explained to be slobber, but it was blood. And it was just like all these different kind of theater 4D effects, but with the lights off, and so it was very terrifying.
Why are all of these so scary?
That's why most of them are gone.
I thought this was supposed to be like
that is true.
Fun
this
place.
This one was replaced by Stitch's Great Escape with an exclamation point, and it's bad. It's on seasonal operation. It's going to be gone very soon, but it's just, it's how to put it. It's Extraterrestrial was a fantastic attraction, one of the Disney's best ever. And this was just Stitch's Great Escape was just like a very immature, quick cash grab version of it, where Stitch was teleported in, or Stitch was like there, and then he like looks around and says Ohana, and then spits in your face and burps chili dog in your face. and no one dies, so it's not even fun.
Yeah, it's not fun unless someone dies.
That's my motto.
It's not. It's good.
That's why I keep losing friends. Because they don't want to be friends with me, not because they died, but because I say things like that.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Well, yeah, that would have been. I feel like that would have been on probably my number one. I have very fond memories of that ride, and I only got the one chance to do the extraterrestrial.
Yeah,
encounter.
me too. Just the one time I went. That's all I got.
It was a great attraction. These Magic Kingdom does not have a whole lot of extinct attractions. It has a lot of, I mean, like as far as big e-tickets, because when you build a giant attraction, you don't like to take it out. But there are a few that are like, okay, that's kind of interesting, that are no longer there. A lot of interesting shows. In the book, like there's also a lot of parades that have come and gone, and in the book I specifically say I will not be talking about the parades or the restaurants or the shops. Do not make me talk about these. I really hate talking about these because they're all the same thing. Like, it was a parade and then it ended. It's like, okay, that's not interesting. But like there's some of the, I do talk about a couple shows that there's like in the Diamond Horseshoe, there was this goofy Western show, which was basically just an elaborate scheme to get close-up pictures with characters, and the characters would come out and do a hoedown with you. It would never work in today's age because all people would be doing was on their phones taking pictures. But like back when you had disposable cameras, you get a couple quick pictures of you dancing with like Bullseye from Toy Story. I think at one point Goofy sings Devil Went Down to Georgia. No, he sings the Cha-Cha Slide.
I mean, those songs are very similar.
Yeah, they're very interchangeable songs.
Yeah. Both times you get tempted by the devil. Either it be Mr. What's his name? Mr. Slide. Is that who made the Cha-Cha Slide?
Yep,
Oh my
Mr.
God.
Slide.
Who?
It was.
What?
I thought it was Mr. C.
It's Mr. Slide.
It was Mr. C. I thought it was Mr. C to start out. His name is Mr. C the Slide Man.
Yep.
Hey man, that was close. He challenges you to the Cha-Cha Slide, and the winner gets a golden fiddle. Where you get your soul, which basically means you have to appear in the Cha-Cha Slide Part 3, which is coming real soon, which has never come.
Real soon.
It's never come. You know what I'm talking about, right? First of all, this was Part 2, which I was not aware of when I started. I would have practiced with Part 1, and then always like, Cha-Cha Slide, Cha-Cha Slide. No, it's Cha-Cha Slide. Wow, I'm
Are you sure
So
that's
you
root
need
beer?
to calm down on the root beer.
just put that at the beginning of this podcast. And just me saying, can you tell I've been working all day? And then they'll be like, oh. But Cha-Cha Slide, he is the Part 2, and then he says, this Cha-Cha Slide Part 3 is coming to you real soon, but until then, it's time to get funky or something weird. I gotta look this up. This is too important.
You guys have any other?
Cha-Cha, everybody. Where is Part 3 of this? It's the Casper Slide Part 2. That's what it was. It was the Casper Slide. What does that mean? Who's Casper? I only know Mr. C the Slide Man.
I had a question.
Any comments on extraterrestrial?
I mean, it sounds scary.
Oh, it was the most terrifying ride that Disney's ever had.
Well, are you sure? Because you died in a few of the other rides. So.
Yeah, but by the time you realized you were going to do that, it was too late.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't like, there was no fear. It was just the end, which is how everything should. I wish for everyone to have a fearless death.
Yeah.
That's inspirational. Thank you.
It's kind of beautiful.
There's a radio edit to the Cha-Cha Slide. That just takes it.
Yeah, because that sounds
I wonder
really
what
long.
wiki page you have open right now.
Who's the DJ Eric B slide? Man, DJ Eric B must feel horrible about himself because he was on the same album, and the album was called the Cha-Cha Slide. And have you ever done the DJ Eric B slide?
Yeah. All the time.
That old wedding.
Is that what you did when everybody else went to Disney?
Yeah. Well, everyone else was at Disney. I was working on the Cha-Cha Slide.
Wow.
Brad Pitt coming in with the buttons right now.
Wow.
All right, Brooke, you had a question?
I don't know if I do anymore. Actually, I did. In your opinion, what is the absolute worst Disney attraction there ever was?
Superstar Limo.
All right. Do they play the Cha-Cha Slide in that or something?
No, but the promo to it played All Star by Smash Mouth.
That sounds awesome.
No, it was you can watch a video on it. I've actually done 2. The first one sucked, so I redid it. But the second version I enjoyed quite a lot. It's basically, it was just this ride where you went through Hollywood. It's a very long story. I would recommend watching the video, but it's very interesting. And essentially, it was another thing like we're gonna get a second park in Disneyland. So let's build Disney California Adventure, which, as I say in the video, is a California themed park in an already California themed California. And it's just California Adventure. And so they're like, well, we got to put something in the Hollywood section of California. And so let's do this ride with the celebrities. And it's a limo ride. And then Princess Diana died in a limo. And so they're like, well, we got to change it up and let's just make it terrible so no one rides it. That's not the real solution, but they,
I mean, that's kind of accurate, though. It's because you were being...
I mean...
You were riding with Princess Diana?
Were you Princess Diana?
No, it was you were being chased by the paparazzi in the limo.
Well, yeah, in the original, yeah, you were being chased by the paparazzi in a high-speed limo. And so they're like, let's slow it down, take out the paparazzi, and just put like awkward celebrity figures of Whoopi Goldberg everywhere.
What?
Whoopi Goldberg appeared in 2 attractions at Disney California Adventure.
Why?
And
People loved Whoopi Goldberg.
I've never once on my channel said the words Whoopi Goldberg and not thought about how often I have to say Whoopi Goldberg, because there was this theater or something where she was 2 giant pillars. It was a Whoopi Goldberg pillar.
What?
And she appeared in an episode of Bear in the Big Blue House, which I just did an episode on.
Yo, I
Hold
love
on,
Bear
I
in the
gotta
Big Blue
Google
House.
this pillar shit. Oh my god,
Did
look
you
at
find
this.
Let me see.
I'd put that in my house.
I watched that show, The Goldbergs, and it is not starring Whoopi Goldberg. And it took me a couple episodes, and I was like, where is Whoopi Goldberg?
Wait, is it supposed to be about Whoopi?
No, it's not supposed to be.
Oh god, I was like, what?
Thank you, Kevin, for jumping in.
Thank you, Kevin or Brad Pitt, whoever you really are.
I'm getting kicked out. I heard there's another guest. I'm just going to stay here. Who is this other guest?
Brad Pitt.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, legally, I can't be in the same podcast as him, so...
So we want to thank Kevin for joining us today, and for all of our listeners out there, do you have a favorite close attraction that Kevin didn't mention? Let us know at DisNeatoPodcast@gmail.com or on our various social media accounts like Twitter @DisNeatoPodcast or our Facebook page, DisNeatos. Tune in next week when we revisit a beloved classic, Sleeping Beauty, and see if we think the praise is warranted or not.
And find out if I'll ever know if Maleficent is in Sleeping Beauty.
Dun dun dun.
People accuse me of being a huge Disney fan, and I'm like, I like Disney, and I'm a fan of the work they produce, but I'm not brand loyal by any means where I am going to ignore the weird stuff they do, like Whoopi Goldberg as a giant thing, or pretty much anything that was in California Adventure. Like, Disney is not perfect. They do stuff weird. They do weird stuff all the time. I just ask when they do weird stuff to make it really weird, like a pillar of Whoopi Goldberg.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.